creature of steel.
I go you.
Socially speaking, Portal is one of the most iconic games ever made. Emotionally speaking, Portal is one of my favorite games of all time. Released in one of the best years in gaming history, 2007, Portal has been immortalized in the gaming genre in memes, references, and influence, and so much more. In which, again, this game came out in 2007. You wanna know what else came out in 2007? Halo 3, one of the most influential multiplayer shooters of all time. Half-Life 2 Episode 2, the game being requested to have a sequel almost 2 decades later. COD 4, the first COD game that revolutionized COD to what it is today. Mass Effect 1, Bioshock 1, Crysis 1, Team Fortress 2, Mario Galaxy, Lego Star Wars, and most importantly, Ratatouille. Fucking Ratatouille. The list goes on and on and on. And all Portal is a short puzzle game that you can literally complete in an hour if you have basic knowledge of the game's mechanics. Then, 4 years later in 2011, Valve decides to make a sequel to Portal, which has a new single-player storyline that takes place after the first game, new mechanics, new designs, and most importantly, a lot of lore, and it has a co-op storyline that has all of those and more. Now in 2017, Nintendo makes a sequel to Splatoon called Splatoon 2. It should have been called Splatoon, but alright, I guess. Yes, I'm still salty about it years after. Don't get me wrong, Splatoon 2 was a major successor compared to the first game, but at launch, nothing really stuck out. Besides Salmon Run being the 4-player co-op PvE mode that me and like 7 other Splatoon fans have been asking for. Don't get me wrong, the new environments, weapons, and customization were cool and all, but then when you go to the single player and realize it is literally just the same copy and paste storyline, it doesn't have any difficulty options, and not really any lore was added into it, the game just felt like a better version of Splatoon 1. God, hindsight is a bitch, huh? Splatoon 1's campaign felt like an oversight, something the devs made just to have a single player campaign just because, well, every other shooter has one, why not us? But it had an excuse to be like that because Splatoon was something brand new and original. It was experimental. But at this point, Splatoon has already proved itself, especially in the eastern side of the world. It needed something new and big, and by listening to the community's 3 biggest desires, being a strong challenge, playable Octolings, and a darker lore, our wishes would be fulfilled on June 13th of 2018. Splatoon 2 Octo expansion dropped something special. A new single-player campaign featuring new characters, a new silent protagonist, technically, 2 chaos-causing individuals, and a evil AI wanting to torture and kill a species of people for their personal hatred. Wait, this sounds familiar. Wait, did Splatoon get inspiration from Portal? Okay, I know that was kind of a curveball, but just hear me out. It will all make sense later. But first, this video is going to be a major spoiler warning for all the Splatoon games, both Portal games, and parts of Half-Life because they are in the same universe, so I kind of have to put that in. No, I will not be covering Aperture Desk Job because I do not have a Steam Deck and I highly doubt it would add anything new, and I don't want to cover that. So in Portal 1, you play as a test subject, who I'm assuming is a guy. Oh. Okay, I'm a woman, even cooler. We later find out that this test subject's name is Chell. As you move around Aperture, which is the name of the facility that the game takes place in, you find the device called the Aperture Science Handheld Portal Device, or the ASH, because only nerds call it the Portal Gun. Am I right? You don't know why you're doing this, but you do know that there will be cake at the end of whatever you're doing, as a reward. But in order to get there, you have to listen to the robotic voice in the walls that's telling you what to do.
Due to mandatory scheduled maintenance, the appropriate chamber for this testing sequence is currently unavailable. It has been replaced with a live fire course designed for military androids. The Enrichment Center apologizes for the inconvenience and wishes you the best of luck.
And that's basically the premise of Portal 1. Moving on to Portal 2, you still play as Chell, as you wake up from a coma caused by what happened in the first game, as you tried to escape. Oh yeah, you kinda do that in the first game, I forgot to mention. Okay, side tangent, can we talk about something for a bit? I grew up on the Xbox 360 version of Portal 1, and on the Xbox 360 version of Portal 1's ending, the screen just fades to black, but in every other version of the game, Chell gets dragged back into the facility. Which one is canon again? Now, in the beginning of Portal 2, Chell gets woken up by this weird robot by the name of Wheatley. I'll talk more about this later. Octo Expansion, a DLC for Splatoon 2 released in 2018, where you play as an Octoling known as Agent 8. Get it? Because they're an octopus, and they have 8 limbs. What? Who was knocked unconscious by... Honestly, I don't know. This is never explained, and it genuinely bothers me. 8 gets woken up by Cuttlefish, a character who at this point in the Splatoon storyline has done nothing but fight against and shit-talk Octarians, but he wants to help Agent 8 because they like the Squid Sisters, and all of a sudden, Cuttlefish treats them like one of his own. If only IRL racism was solved this easily. Neither 8 or Cuttlefish have any idea how to get out. Hell, they don't even have an idea where they even are. But this telephone tells them that in order to leave, they have to find the 4 Thangs. No, I didn't mispronounce it. That is what they are called in game. This DLC is heavily 80s inspired. Shut up. But you do understand where I'm going with this, right? How similar both stories are. Well, just know, it's only gonna get worse. In a good way. I actually like the similarities. I meant to say that in a good way. Meanwhile, in Portal 2, as Chell and Wheatley explore the abandoned and now destroyed version of Aperture, they hear this voice known only as the announcer. But unlike the other voice in the first game, this one feels soulless. Like it doesn't know that you're there. And well, the reason for that is because this voice is entirely pre-recorded, and it's only there to guide you, if what it's even saying still makes any logical sense.
Is currently governed by a manner of animal king, sentient cloud, or other governing body that either refuses to or is incapable of listening to reason.
So, Agent 8 and Cuttlefish find the one working train in this abandoned station, which is filled with many people and even has a conductor running the whole thing. This is Sea Cucumber, who not only takes 8 to the chambers they'll have to face, but will also bomb them if they fuck up. Company policy, I guess? To be honest, he's kinda just is, or if not, more soulless than the announcer. Hell, even Orca, a literal AI, shows more emotion when they have to kill you in Splatoon 3. Also, Cuttlefish finds a radio that Pearl and Marina are on the other side of, but that's not really important right now. Oh, and if you're wondering, Pearl and Marina are basically Atlas and Peabody. Hell, they even have the same mannerisms. Talking from a game progression standpoint, there isn't really much to say here, since, you know, one's a puzzle game and the other one's a third-person shooter. Both Chell and Agent 8 are just solving test chambers and doing what they need to do to survive in an abandoned part of their respective worlds, following the orders of a weird sentient voice that only wants them to succeed, right? Actually, let's talk about that. What do their end goals even look like? Wait, so you're telling me that the voice in the walls and the telephone were evil the whole time? So let's address the elephant, or motherboard, in the room. Them. The talking telephone in Octo expansion, and the voice heard all around Aperture. They are known as Commander Tartar and the genetic life form and disk operating system, otherwise known as GLaDOS. Wait, but isn't Wheatley a bad guy too? Yes, he is, but he's not as impactful as GLaDOS, so I'm not going to talk about him. So what are their similarities, really? Well, they're both AI, they both have a huge hatred towards humanity-like creatures, are both deca millenniums old, and has tortured and murdered thousands of innocent people, and are also extremely manipulative. And this is just their characters on a surface level. It gets weirder once we dig up their past. Because you see, Tartar was an AI created by a professor, who I'm just gonna call the Professor. He created Tartar, whose only purpose was to teach the next species after humanity how to live and be a new civilization, so they won't make the same mistakes that humanity did. And once humanity died, he waited thousands and thousands of years, waiting and judging any new civilization that he found from afar. And after seeing the next civilization after humanity wage war over stupid shit, not the Great Turf War, that made sense, but fighting over things that didn't matter, turning opinions into law, which is literally what the Splatfest are, and a couple more things I don't remember, but so Tartar basically said, you know what, fuck them squids, and started killing Octos? Alright, wrong people I guess, but all jokes aside, Tartar didn't even think that Inklings and Octolings were even worth communicating. So, instead of guiding them, his best course of action was to turn them into his own perfect race. Yeah, that's enough about Tartar. Let's go to GLaDOS now, okay? So the CEO of Aperture Science, Cave Johnson, finally had a good idea.
The point is, if we can store music on a compact disc, why can't we store a man's intelligence and personality on one? So I have the engineers figuring that out now. Brain mapping. Artificial intelligence. We should have been working on it 30 years ago. I will say this, and I'm gonna say it on tape so everybody hears it 100 times a day. If I die before you people can pour me into a computer, I want Carolyn to run this place. Now she'll argue. She'll say she can't. She's modest like that, but you make her. Yeah, put her in my computer. I don't care. All right, test's over. You can head on back to your desk.
Goodbye, sir.
That was Cave's goal, but unfortunately, he was suffering from an undiscovered, terrible disease, and unfortunately passed away before the project even finished. Because of this, his assistant, or wife, I guess? I don't know, it's a Valve game. They never finished the lore to their games. Anyway, Carolyn was forced to take Cave Johnson's place and become GLaDOS herself, against her own will. A company that has been dying for literal decades because of a terrible CEO, bad business decisions, and unethical experiments that led to nowhere.
Those of you who volunteered to be injected with praying mantis DNA, I've got some good news and some bad news. Bad news is we're postponing those tests indefinitely. Good news is we've got a much better test for you. Fighting an army of mantis men. Pick up a rifle and follow the yellow line. You'll know when the test starts.
It finally seemed like Aperture was on the right foot for once. That being GLaDOS. I mean, the portal gun too, but that's a story for another day. So what did GLaDOS do once she finally woke up? Hold on, I forgot what she did again. Give me 1 second. It says right here that she gassed everyone with neurotoxin?
You'll be dead. Where are you taking? You're kidding me. Did you just stuff that Aperture Science thing, we don't know what it does, into an Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator? That has got to be the dumbest thing that... Whoa. Good news. I figured out what that thing you just incinerated did. It was a morality core they installed after I flooded the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin to make me stop flooding the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin. So get comfortable while I warm up the neurotoxin emitters.
Yeah, that happened. Anyone who did survive either tried to escape her or tried to fix her, like the golden retriever boyfriend to their goth girlfriends. I know you're watching this video. They succeeded by attaching robots to her body to make her behave. It only worked slightly, but one thing is certain. She loves to test. It's literally in her code, every fiber of her being. Because of that, she made death traps, test chambers, for any test subjects to come across. But despite all of this, all the people that she's, whether it was both men or women, or human versus machine, God, that was a bad joke, oh my. Despite all of this, there's one human she has a lot of respect for.
Alright, I've been thinking. When life gives you lemons, Don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these?
Take the lemons.
Demand to see life's manager. Make life rule the day and thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with the lemon. I'm gonna get my engineers to invent a combustible lemon that burns your house down.
Burning people. He says what we're all thinking.
Actually, now thinking about it, after talking about both their backstories, I have an important question to ask. If the Professor and Cave Johnson were alive to see both Tartar and GLaDOS in action and see all the damage they've done, do you think they would be proud? As you play both games during their more puzzle-focused moments, you get a strong taste of the game's atmosphere, and that is loneliness and isolation. I mean, think about it. Chell is a test subject who is testing out a revolutionary new device that could change the world. There's even observation decks. There should be someone here watching you, right? But no. What is going on? The same could easily be said for Octo expansion when 8 is doing the more puzzle-focused tests, not the combat ones. Something just feels off during these slow moments. There's been many times I thought to myself, why are these tests down here? Who made them? And if so, why aren't they watching me? Are they watching me? The end is right there. Couldn't I just super jump and skip the puzzle entirely? And every time, it just felt lonely. Well, that last part would be more true if Cuttlefish, Pearl, and Marina didn't say something completely irrelevant every time I did something important to the game. Please, can you guys shut up every time I kill an Octoling? I'm just trying to feel some emotion, please! But take a look at both of these environments. They feel abandoned and decayed, because they are, but also alive, in the sense of that this is real and sentient. GLaDOS and Tartar don't just run their facilities. They are the facilities. This is actually true in Portal because when you progress through certain chambers, you can hear the music evolve in a way. And while Octo expansion doesn't really do that, Splatoon 3 does in a more simpler way, but fuck it, I'll count it, I guess. Octo expansion still feels alive because, well, it literally is. Especially if we were to take the concept art approach. The environment didn't just feel alive. It was alive. While we barely know anything, I'm gonna be honest, there's only two things I can take from this. And that is, well, the outfit and this one image. The image with the clones. Are they clones even? Does Octo expansion even have anything to do with this? Again, we have no idea. But if it does that mean 8 was even the last test subject? We know that Tartar referred to 8 as 10,008, but there could have been more after them that we don't even know. And the reason why I'm even bringing this part up is because if you've played Portal 2's co-op story mode, at the end of the game, Atlas and Peabody found an entire vault filled with potential subjects, which is never brought up again, but you know. Okay, so I didn't know where to put these in the video, so here's just a list of random comparisons I discovered. So to start off, almost every Octo expansion character can be compared to a Portal character. Let me explain. 8 is Chell, Cuttlefish is Wheatley, Tartar is GLaDOS, Pearl and Marina are Alice and Peabody, Cave Johnson's the Professor, Sea Cucumber's the Announcer, and Deadfish is Doug Ratman? The only character I couldn't find was Isopadre. Maybe he could be the Fact Core, but That's an extreme stretch. I couldn't find a comparison to the Space Corps, sadly. Deadfish and the Ratman are comparable, not only because they have a big impact on the lore despite the fact that we never see them in-game, but they're also comparable through the context of sacrifice. Because of them, we now know what had happened before Chell and 8's story, and the fate they could have had if they weren't the right person
man
in the wrong place.
Can make all the difference in the world.
There, that is the one half-life joke I made. Are you happy now? Deadfish was a DJ, and a great one at that. She wanted to be the very best that no one ever was. Oh, I couldn't help myself. She felt like she will never reach her true potential. She finds herself in the deep sea metro, where she finds Tartar and asks him to sanitize her, only partially though. By successfully sanitizing herself, she can focus on one thing and one thing only: her music. And it's because of her we actually understand what sanitation is and how it feels like. Yes, Marina tells us what sanitation actually does to the victim, but Deadfish is the victim who lived to tell the story through her music. Meanwhile, Doug's story is a little bit more grounded by reality, but still the same impact. In the Portal 2 comic called Lab Rat, this comic follows the story about a character named Doug Ratman, the one scientist who was against the idea of GLaDOS, because at every stage of GLaDOS' development, any time that she would wake up, she would be extremely aggressive and threatening. He is also one of the only few survivors from GLaDOS' initial awakening. He also suffers from schizophrenia, which is extremely important to the story. He was the one that woke up Chell so she could fight GLaDOS, and once Chell succeeded in doing that, it caused the entire facility to explode, knocking her unconscious in the process. An escort bot drags her back to the cryo chambers, but because of the explosion, the main power grid was out, meaning that if she was there long enough, she will die. So the Ratman had to go across the facility to divert the power to her chamber to keep her alive. But as he does this, a turret shoots his leg, and after barely making it out alive, he finds himself a cryo chamber of his own, where he himself can finally rest. And whether he's still sleeping, or he eventually died himself, we still don't know. But because of these two stories, we know a lot more about the past before them. You know, as I was finishing this video, I decided to ask myself the question, what was the point of this? Why did I make this? Why did I make an entire video dissecting the entirety of Octo expansion and comparing it to an older game? It's still a great DLC to be enjoyed and has loads of originality. I didn't make this video to just say, oh, just play Portal Lamau. I made this video mainly because it's extremely nice to see two of my favorite all-time games having a lot of similarities with each other. And it's really because of one reason, and that is inspiration. I've been playing a lot of games recently that are hugely inspired of other games. Pizza Tower and Hi-Fi Rush come to mind instantly. And what I think makes these games really special is not only are they inspired by other games, they wear it on their sleeves as a foundation and build something new to it, but don't use it as a crutch, unlike some other games. Not naming names, and there's nothing wrong with having inspiration. Without any inspiration, we wouldn't be doing the things we do for fun or as a living now, would we? Probably not. At the end of the day, inspiration is the component to our biggest tool, and that is our imagination. Thank you for watching this video, and please make sure to like and subscribe. I don't like to specifically say it in my videos, but this was one of my more challenging videos to make, and I'd really like to see it pop off. But yeah, my name is O.C.C.B. Have a good one, and drink some water.